Hi and welcome to a PowerShell quick tip video. In this video, we're actually not looking at a commandlet, but we are looking at things that we can do with quite a variety of different commandlets. This is actually a question or a suggestion that came from Justin Emons on one of the quick tip videos. They wanted to see and find out a little bit more about calculated properties. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at in this video. Now, if you don't know what calculated properties are, they are basically a parameter set that you can give to specific commandlets. So this is not something that you can use on every commandlet. And you can actually make custom calculated properties. So take properties that already exist and do some type of manipulation or calculation on them to get a brand new property. So we're going to take a look at quite a few different examples. We're going to take a look at a select object commandlet example. We're going to take a look at a group object, sort, and we're going to be taking a look at a second example of the group object. I'm also going to post a link in the description to the documentation from Microsoft, which will show you all the different commandlets that you can actually use this on. Most of them are just like data displaying commandlets or data filtering commandlets like group object, like sort, like select. There's also the format table is also in there, and a variety of other ones. Format list is in there. Convert to HTML is in there as well. So we're going to take a look at a few of them, which will basically give you a basic knowledge of how calculated properties work, when to use them, and how to use them. So let's go ahead and let's actually get started here. So what I actually have is a CSV file that I've just kind of wrote in some random data in here. So none of this data is actually real. So we have employee ID, first name, last name, age, title, and salary. Now this will be one of the data sets we're going to be working with today to show the different calculated properties that we can actually do. And we have this folder here with a bunch of different test files of all different file types. And we are going to see what we can do with the calculated properties with that as well. So let's go ahead and let's just start with a very basic example here, which is going to be using our CSV file. We give the first name and last name. So what I want to do is I want to have a calculated property for the actual full name of the person. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at how we would do that. So first, we would just want to have a variable for our file path to our CSV file. So let's go ahead and let's put that in here. And then what we're just going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to import that data. So I'm going to create a variable called CSV data, and we are going to import -CSV, put in our path here, and it's going to be our CSV file path. And we are going to put the delimiter. We don't need to put the delimiter since it is the default of comma. But once again, I just like putting that in there just so this way, if someone goes and reads my code, they already know what delimiter I am expecting. And then what we're going to want to do is just go look at this CSV data as it is right now and see what's going on. So here we have all of our data that came in through that CSV file. We have emp ID, we have first name, last name, age, title, and salary. So what we can actually do is we can actually pipe this here, and we could pipe this to a select object. Now here you would actually put in the different properties that you would want. So just a basic example here, we can put in emp ID, we can put in first name, put in last name here, and we could put in age if we only wanted those properties, and it will output just those properties. Now what we can actually do is add something. So let's put a comma here, and we're going to put the @ symbol, open and closing curly bracket. Now this will actually let us perform a calculated property. So the first thing we're going to want to put in here, or I like to put in first, is the actual name of our property. So we're going to name this full name, and let's keep the naming convention the same. So we're going to put that all stuck together. After the double quotes of your name, you're just going to put a semicolon. and we're going to put the word expression, and then we're going to put an equal sign, and then another open and closing curly bracket. Now here is where we actually put in all the work for our calculated property. Now the only thing that we actually want to do is give the output of what should show up there. So what we can actually do is just do a set of double quotes. And what we need to do is, since we need to dot reference these variables, we need to put in our variable wrappers. So we're going to put 2 variable wrappers, and we're going to separate our first name and last name with a space. And then inside the variable wrappers, we're going to do a $_ dot first name. And then in the second one, we're going to do a $_ dot last name. Now, you might be wondering, if you haven't seen some of the other videos that I've done, why we are using the $_. So the $_ will take in the properties and data that are passed through this pipeline. So we are piping the CSV data, and now what it'll do, it'll select the object, and it'll select each of these objects, and then it will also evaluate our expression. So it'll take the first name and add it with the last name in a string. So if we go ahead and we run this code now, we can actually see that we actually do have full name here on all of our items. And if we wanted all the values on top of first name, what we can just do, instead of select object, put in all the name of the properties, you can actually simply put a star and then a comma and then your calculated property, and run this, and this will actually give you all the different properties and your calculated property as well. So that is a very basic example, a very simple example of what a calculated property can be. Now you can definitely make some other very, very simple ones. So let's go ahead and let's just take another example with the select object. Let's say you wanted to add a specific item for every single line that we have. We're going to add type, and we are going to say that they are of a type employee. And if we just do that, it adds the column type, and it puts the employee as every single one. Now, this is, of course, not a super calculated property because we are just adding that property to every single one. But that would, as soon as you use an expression and a name, you are using the method of having a calculated property. So let's take a look at the group object, because that one is slightly different because we do not give a name to the group object commandlet. So let's go ahead and let's use our CSV data once again. And we are just going to go ahead and pipe that to group object. Now here, we will actually want to specify the property parameter. And then what we're going to want to do is just do the @ symbol, open and close curly brackets. And we are going to put the word expression once again equals open and closing curly brackets. Now for this example, what I actually like to do is just hit enter here, because this will look a lot more like a script because of what we're going to be doing, what we're grouping by. So in a group by, you can use switch statements, you can use if statements, you can use a bunch of different options here to really group the different items by different ways. We are going to be seeing an if statement in this example. I'm going to cover a switch statement in another sample. So it really comes down to what you really prefer. So what we're going to actually do here is we are going to separate them by age here. So let's go ahead and let's do an if, and we have to do the $_ because that will take in the items again from that pipeline here. And we're going to do a .h, and then we are going to do a -le, so less than or equals to 50. And we're going to do an open and closing curly brackets. And all we need to do here is actually put in a string. You don't need to do a write output or a write host or a return value. All you need to do is simply put in a string. This will actually say, okay, for each line in the CSV group, CSV data, we're going to be grouping by the object. If that object, its age is less than 50, assign it this value for the group by. And then we're going to see in the else, we're just going to have another string. Otherwise, group it into this category. So if it's less than 50, we are going to say retirement far away. And then we're going to have a else. So if you're over 50, we are going to go ahead and we are going to say retirement may come soon. Maybe you want to do this on your employees to see really who I need to worry about. This, of course, is not a very good example because you can have people that just leave, not necessarily due to retirement, but just typical turnover. So let's go ahead and let's see this here. So if we run this on our CSV data, if the age is less than 50, retirement far away, otherwise retirement may come soon. And when we actually get that, we actually get 5 retirement far away and 1 retirement may come soon. We can actually change this to 40 and we're going to see our answer change here. Now we are 4 and 2. So you can actually do this tons of different ways. Maybe you have a different CSV with tons of different students, and you need to find out which ones have a voting age or not. You can simply do this. Of course, you can do the where age is less than 40, and that would be retirement far away, or like where age is greater than, and this way you only have the people that are going to retire soon. This is just simply another way of getting an extra column added in and getting the group by a different way, and you can actually see some extra data that way. So it's all about calculated properties in this video, not necessarily some really good examples, but just how to really use them. So there is another one, which is the sort that we're going to be doing with this data here. So let's do CSV data, and let's pipe that to the sort object. Now what we can actually sort on is, let's actually sort on age. So this is a very simple one. This will just sort the age, and by default, it will sort it in ascending order. Now, of course, what we can actually do is also do a descending parameter, and that will actually set it to descending. But what happens here is if we also wanted to do a salary, so let's sort on age and salary with the descending parameter. All right, we do have 2 people with the same age here. So as we can see, we actually do have, so the age is descending and then the salary is now ascending. So as you can see right here, we have our 2 employees. We have one with 91,000 at the age of 34 and one at 95,000 at the age of 34. So it only took one of these categories to put them as descending. Now, let's say if we actually wanted the salary in descending order, what we can actually do is go ahead and put this in a calculated property once again. And we can do expression. And in our expression, we are going to go ahead and we are going to do a $_ salary. And we're going to do a semicolon, and here we are going to do a DESC, and then we're going to put that equals to true. So that will be descending equals true. So if we go ahead and we run this now, we will see that the age is descending, and also our so I do believe that I might have had a little mistake there earlier. So we do see that the age is descending because we are going down. And we also do see that the salary is also descending as well. So if we actually just go ahead and we just repeat this example here. And we go ahead and we look at that. So now, as you can see, that is still in that way, but what we can actually do is if we wanted to have the salary in an ascending order, sorry about that. I thought that would work, but I just misread the data here. So we can actually do a $_ salary, and then do the DSC equals false. And we do a curly bracket here. You guys probably saw that before I did. So let's go ahead and let's see that here. So there it is. So now the age is still going down. We can see that the age is actually going down. But here now the salary goes from 69,000 to 91,000. So the salary is actually ascending instead of descending. So this is where you can actually mix different ascending and descending values depending on how you want to sort. So that one can get a little bit confusing. So what I like to do instead of using that parameter of descending is I would have another calculated property for age. I would have that as descending equals true. And then if we have that, it will give us the exact same result as the last one. But it's just a little bit harder to read, but at the same time, a little bit easier because you don't have that parameter that seems to be a catch-all for everything as descending. At least this one, you can tell that it is descending is not true, and then this one is actually true. So that would be how you use calculated properties on the sort. Now there is one thing that I showed you guys at the beginning, which is all the different files. So what we can actually do is group bys and with a switch statement. So what we can actually do is get a get child item. And we're just going to do a get child item. I'm just going to put in my path here. I'm just going to copy paste the path in this time. And then all we need to do is go ahead and pipe that to group object. And we're going to put in a property. And let's go ahead and let's do our expression equals open and closing curly bracket. And let's go ahead and let's do our expression here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a switch $_.extension. Now, if you want to know where I'm getting these properties from, if you run the get child item, you would see that we don't actually see extension here. But if you've seen the other quick tip video that we saw most recently, which is the get member, if we do a get member on the get child item, we will actually see that we do have extension here. So we can actually get the extensions of the different files. So here we are going to actually group them by the different extensions. So what I'm going to do is if it's a .ps1, we're going to do a curly bracket, and all we're going to do is assign it to automation. We're going to have another one, which is going to be a .exe. We're going to have that as executable. And now one example that I did not see on the Microsoft documentation is how to actually handle multiple different file types and group them together. So as you can see in our files here, we have .mp3s and .waves. These two file types are sound file types, or music or anything like that. So what we actually are going to do here is we are going to do a curly bracket and then the @ symbol, and we're going to create an array here. So we're just going to do an open and close parentheses. We're going to do a .mp3, and then after that one, we are going to do a .wave. And after the parentheses, we're going to do a -contains. And now here you might be tempted to do a $_.extension. Now this actually does make sense, but it is not correct. So if you do this, now the $_ value is actually what gets passed in through the switch. So if you actually look at this, it won't be equal anything. So what we actually need to do is just contains $_, and that will simply contain this value here. And then all we need to do that is assign that now to a sound file. And then all we want to do after that is do a default. And let's just say not relevant. So maybe we're only curious on automation files, executable files, and sound files. Let's go ahead and let's run that. And there it is. So we have our two sound files. We have our 3 files that aren't relevant. We have 1 file that's related to automation, 1 file that is an executable. So this is another way that you can actually use the get child item and then mix that with group object with calculated properties to really see the breakdown of what kind of file types you have and assign the different file types to categories. So you're not just grouping by the actual file type, but you're actually giving something a bit more meaningful than just .ps1, .exe, especially if you're giving that to higher ups that might not necessarily know what certain extensions are. This is a great way to do that. So hopefully this explains the calculated properties, Justin. If there are any questions that you have, or if anyone else has questions, please let me know in the comments section down below, and I will do my best to answer every single one of you guys. If you guys have something that you guys want to see on these quick tip videos, it might not even have to really be a commandlet. It could just be a feature of PowerShell, like Justin asked for the calculated properties. Here's the video. If you guys want to see more, just let me know in the comment section. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell to be notified when that next video comes out, and I will see you guys on the next video.